Good to see you. Are you well?
Quite well, thank you, Doctor. How do you do?
I'm good, thanks for asking.
How have you been sleeping?
Terrible, Doctor. I guess I'm going to need those pills after all.
Still having the same nightmares?
It seems so. But enough of me. How have you been since our last session?
Rosie, it's very kind of you to be interested, but I thought we'd agreed that these sessions are to help you. So let's concentrate on doing that and not on my personal life.
What do you wish to talk about?
Tell me about your husband. What was he like?
Well, you see, Nicholas was a very loving, charming man. I was still a nurse when we met. We fell in love instantly. Like an act of magic, really.
And the years following the marriage, what were they like?
We were married fairly young. I was only 19 when we set our vows. It was quite the norm back then. We were in love and ready to start a family. I had Aaron just a year after I met Nicholas. And what a blessing he's been.
Any news from Aaron? Has he responded to your letters?
I'm afraid he doesn't have time, Doctor. He's probably too busy playing out with the other kids in the neighbourhood or doing his homework. He's such a good boy. Have I ever told you, you have my son's eyes? 'Cause you do.
You have. Can I ask about Nicholas? Tell me about the accident.
He set sail on another one of his many trips at sea and never returned. I remember begging him not to leave us again, but he did. There was nothing I could have said or done that would have stopped him.
In a previous session, you talked about your husband's plans to move the family to Paris. Can you tell me about that?
Another time, Doctor. I need some rest. I can't remember when I last had a good night's sleep.
I understand. I have the nurse bring you those pills. Take care, Rosie.
Thank you, Doctor.
Patient was admitted to Blackrest Asylum after murdering her husband using poisonous mushrooms. She was diagnosed with severe dementia and has now developed the early signs of paranoid personality disorder. To date, none of her psychiatrists have extracted a confession from her. It was your job, Alan, to get that confession.
Rosie has been institutionalised for over 40 years. Isn't she better off not knowing the truth? Her son never once visited her or responded to a letter.
What's your point?
Can't we just let her believe that her husband died in a sailing accident?
You're her psychiatrist, Alan, not her friend. Morality doesn't apply to murderers.
Months went by and nothing changed. 47 years of lying to herself about her husband's death made her very difficult to crack. However, in our most recent session, it all changed.
Aaron, my boy.
Rosie, it's Alan, your psychiatrist.
Enough of your shenanigans, son.
Rosie, I'm not your son.
I will not tolerate this behaviour today, Aaron. Mummy is tired.
Tell me about Father. What was he like?
Well, you see, Aaron, your father always dreamed of going back to Paris. He'd already planned everything. for the three of us to move to France. He'd even arranged for you to attend a boarding school there.
And you didn't want that?
Your father wanted to send you to the boarding school he and your grandfather attended. Away from me.
And how did you feel about that?
How do you think I felt? I wasn't going to let him take you away from me.
So what did you do to stop him?
I had to do it.
Had to do what?
There was no other way.
Rosie?
Don't you understand? He was going to take you away from me. I did what I had to do to make sure it didn't happen.
What did you have to do?
I think I did something terrible. I killed your father.
Rosie? Look at me.
Alan?
Are you all right?
Is it true?
Rosie, you didn't kill your husband. He died in a terrible storm at sea. You're a good wife and a loving mother. Nicholas's death